Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm going to show you the routes that Lewis and Clark took during their expedition in search of the Northwest Passage. The journey began on May 21st, 1804 in St. Charles, Missouri. There, Clark made maps and rode on keel boats to explore around the area. On the other hand, Lewis studied rock formations, soils, animals, and plant species. In that final week, together they reached the eastern edge of the Great Plains. After that, they met their first Indian encounter, the Sioux tribe, where they just passed the Sioux territory. There, the Teton Sioux demanded prices and gifts. Weapons were pulled out in the matter of self-defense. It was overall considered as a non-friendly relation. Next, the Americans head up the river to spend their winter. In December, they reached the Mandan tribe's villages. They then decided to spend winter there and began building forts to protect themselves from winter. During the winter, they wrote reports collecting many data of the 108 botanical species and 60 different types of minerals found. Next, from April to May, they encountered grizzly bears in Fort Mandan, North Dakota, the country of grizzlies. Later, in June 11, 1805, they reached the southern branch of Missouri. As they traveled down the Marias River, one of the Lewis men saw the Great Falls in Montana on June 13th. As noticed on top, you can see the Sacagawea Island. This is where one of the crew members, Sacagawea, met her brother in the Shoshone tribe, who provided Lewis and Clark with horses. Next, they went to the Bitterroot Valley, where they met Flathead Indians. The captain then set their camp on the banks of the Clear River in North Fork. By October 10th, they had reached the Snake River. The next few days were the toughest part in the journey, where they had to trespass a region in Cascades. 6 days later, Lewis and Clark reached the Columbia River. By mid-October, they reached the Pacific. In the south of Columbia, Lewis and Clark built Fort Clatsop in Oregon. By the third week in March 23, they were ready to head back home. In April, they stayed at Camp Cofurnish and traveled through Bitterroot again. On June 30, Lewis and Clark decided to part ways to explore more of Louisiana territory. Lewis and his 9 other men traveled by the Marias River. Clark, on the other hand, traveled on the Yellowstone River. As they traveled separately, Clark went hunting. Mistaking Lewis for an animal, Clark accidentally shot Lewis' left thigh. Thus, Lewis continued traveling with an injured leg. Soon they met up again and rode with the current of the Missouri River. up and up and up till September 23. Lewis and Clark returned to St. Louis, where their starting point is. St. Louis was their ending of the expedition point in 1806. This successful expedition did much to stimulate interest among Americans. In addition, it strengthened the claim of the United States to the area around the Columbia River. It established good relations with the Indians, and the journals maintained by Lewis and Clark provided many needed information about the plant and animal life and the topography and climate of the Northwest.